Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The heroin antidote Naloxone is saving lives, but sometimes one dose isn't enough.
I gave several doses. We're getting more off the ambulance and they're still not waking up, so everybody had to have several doses.
Coming up, more on the effect of super potent heroin on communities and why it's especially bad in rural areas. A powerful tornado with 165-mile-per-hour winds ripped through Kokomo in August. Ahead, the mayor takes us on a tour of his city that's really just beginning the long process of cleaning up and rebuilding.
This was the country club. You're going to see where the path went.
And how safe is our election system? Forget the hanging chads of 2000. Is there real potential of hackers accessing the polls? Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Indiana Attorney General Greg Zeller announced more funding this week that will go toward expanding access to the overdose intervention drug Naloxone to first responders. The nonprofit group Overdose Lifeline will administer the $400,000 grant. The announcement comes after reports of as many as 200 recent overdoses across Ohio, West Virginia, and Indiana. And as Lindsay Wright reports, police departments don't have enough resources to respond to the growing drug epidemic.
At the end of August, Jennings County officers experienced something they'd never seen when responding to heroin calls.
I've worked several overdoses in the past. Usually we can give them the one dose and you'll see something out of them. Some kind of life will come back. This night we were running out of Narcan.
The overdose intervention drug Narcan, also known as Naloxone, revives individuals who overdose on opioids. It's standard for Jennings County officers to carry a dose when they're on duty. But 9 overdoses in Jennings County in just one evening left officers scrambling for more of the overdose antidote.
We were completely out. We had people giving them to us. I believe one of the state troopers went and got us some more from Seymour that night.
The youngest person officers revived was 14. Officials are blaming the overdoses on a batch of heroin cut with synthetic opioids. Fentanyl is often prescribed to patients after surgery, and it's about 50 times more powerful than heroin. Carfentanil is normally used as a large animal sedative, powerful enough to tranquilize an elephant. It's 100 times deadlier than fentanyl. The organization Overdose Lifeline heard from Indiana State Police immediately following the spike in ODs. They were asking for more Naloxone.
So we were able to run more doses down and hold a community event.
The super potent heroin meant officers had to use multiple doses of Naloxone to revive people. The string of overdoses happened in a single night over about a 6-hour span of time, and it sent Jennings County law enforcement bouncing from place to place. Now other officials worry the same events could transpire in their communities.
The equipment and supplies that we've given our officers to help preserve life in the occasion of an overdose aren't sufficient enough to preserve life, when they're altered, with carfentanil or fentanyl.
Authorities say the supercharged heroin came from Cincinnati. More than 170 people overdosed there around the same time the overdoses were reported in Jennings County. Tom Sinan, who leads the Hamilton County Drug Task Force, says officers were notified of the problem early and put on alert. First responders there were recently supplied with a new type of Naloxone kit. It's easier to use and more concentrated, up from a 2-milligram dose to 4. But still, Sinan says that's not always enough.
We're actually getting information from doctors that with the carfentanil in the street, that there actually should be a minimum dose of 10 milligrams to start off with.
It's a resource issue in Indiana. The Indiana State Department of Health announced it would deliver 3,400 naloxone kits to 20 different county health departments where residents can get trained on how to administer the drug. And Governor Pence gave the nod for the department to move forward with another initiative. It would stock parts of the state with extra naloxone kits using existing grant money as a way to be prepared for future situations like the one in Jennings County. Deputy Mellencamp says naloxone was able to revive the 9 who overdosed in Jennings County, but he says he doesn't want to see the situation happen again.
I'm from this town, so a lot of people I know or know their family, so I hope this isn't the start of, I hope it's not the new normal, you know.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
Zeller says the eventual goal is to supply naloxone statewide. Well, Election Day is a bit more than a month away, and we are still in the midst of debate season. This week, we were given our first extended look at Governor Mike Pence on the national stage as he debated Senator Tim Kaine. Experts are saying Pence was composed but more combative than we're typically used to seeing him in his role as governor.
Pence neither supported nor criticized a lot of Trump's controversial positions or statements, and really that's sort of the reality that a lot of Republican leaders are finding themselves in.
We have a tax code, Senator, that actually is designed to encourage entrepreneurship.
But why won't he
country.
release his tax return?
Well, we're answering the question about the business thing.
I do want to come back on this.
His tax returns that showed he went through a very difficult time, but he used the tax code just the way it's supposed to be used, and he did it brilliantly.
With talk of polls being accessed by hackers, threats to the election have come a long way. Joining us now to talk about the election is Fred Cate. Cate is the Vice President of Research for Indiana University and a Senior Fellow at the Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
So I think what we're seeing more and more now is this security issue with the election and polls. Are the polls going to be safe? I think that's what everyone's wondering right now.
Yeah, I think everything we know tells us the polls are going to be safe. What may not be safe are our perceptions about the polls. And so these attacks, particularly those that we know are originating in Russia, seem more designed to sort of destabilize public confidence than they do to actually intrude into the voting process. And frankly, our voting process is so split up among counties, it's not connected to the internet, and therefore it tends to be very secure.
So, but with all this so much, we talk about perception though, but that's still damaging because some people may think, well, the polls are not safe, so I should not vote. So it's still a bad thing.
It is always a bad thing whenever anyone's messing with your public confidence about your electoral process. In this sense, there is no reason why somebody should not vote. In other words, there is no risk to security from voting. And also, I think all of the experts agree right now there is little chance that the votes will be compromised in any way. That doesn't mean we won't see disinformation campaigns led by the Russians or others to try to make it look like there have been compromises, but we have no evidence of that at all right now.
So when you say that the polls, voting is safe, and is that due to the fact that most of the election results are not on the internet?
That's exactly right. You know, almost anything you connect to the internet, you make vulnerable. But this is one time it's good that we're a little behind the times in the way we handle elections. And so it's handled on a county by county basis. It's typically done by hand or with local electronics that aren't connected to any network. And the net effect is it's much easier to secure. And everything we know tells us it is secure.
You know, I saw an article by Politico saying that Google is able to sway undecided voters by algorithms, and I'm just wondering, are there other subtle ways that people could be swayed by their vote?
Well, there are lots of ways in which you can sway elections, and of course media coverage being one of the prominent ones, and particularly media coverage as you get closer and closer to the date of the election, so it's harder for the other campaign to respond. One of the things we've known the Russians have done in the past, they posted false election results in countries in Europe that have been having elections, so that people thought either there's no reason for me to go to the polls because the other guy's already won, or my candidate's already won. So they've not only sown discord, they've actually caused people to not go and vote.
Interesting. Have to leave it right there. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
An Indiana University students' petition is asking the city of Bloomington to find another place for the homeless to go besides the popular People's Park. As J.D. Gray reports, the petition is bringing up issues of public space and community as the city is in the midst of investigating issues surrounding homelessness and panhandling.
This is the college town. We have to lose our home, our park, our stuff.
At a downtown park in Bloomington, people are upset. A recent petition created by a student at Indiana University said it is time for an end to People's Park being a home for the homeless.
Yeah, I mean, I walk by pretty much every single class that I have. I walk by People's Park and I see something going on that's either not legal or something that would make just an average person walking by feel uncomfortable.
But DeBenedetto says his interest isn't in dictating who gets to use the park and who doesn't, as much as it is finding help for the homeless.
My message was, these people are people too, and I want to help them, as well as help the people who are more fortunate enough to walk by that park. I want to help them so that it's a win-win for both. I just said if I could just say something, it would spark a conversation. I could figure out if someone's trying to get to the bottom of this.
This week, the city posted signs asking people to avoid giving money to panhandlers and instead consider supporting service agencies. The move wasn't in response to DeBenedetto's petition, but rather the result of an initiative the mayor announced in August to address aggressive panhandling in downtown Bloomington.
I have parks employees who feel the need for police support as they go about their work in some downtown parks.
The plan includes 6 cameras being installed in parks and on public trails. The city formed a committee to look at the big picture of homelessness, including crime and what might be contributing to poverty. Rick Moffness is homeless, and he spends a lot of time at People's Park with his dog, Missy. He says the problem is a lack of shelters.
You know, I think it's just everybody's park. Anybody wants to do what they want to do here, they can do it, you know, just like any other park.
People do have to leave the park at night, and the city does have options other than the park or the street. There are somewhere around a half-dozen shelters in Bloomington, but the criteria to stay there varies from place to place. Beds are limited.
There are geographers who have argued that this push to move homeless people out of parks and off of sidewalks is annihilating any space for homeless people to be in the city. Especially when there are no shelters to go to, then where do people go?
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm J.D. Gray.
Now, in a statement, Mayor John Hamilton said panhandling is not illegal. Experiencing homelessness is not illegal. Our parks and streets belong to all and are open to all. Safety, civility, and justice are rights for every person in Bloomington. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Lindsay Wright joins us for headlines and the latest on this week's top stories. And I traveled to Kokomo, Indiana, where a tornado in August caused extensive damage. We'll see how the town is recovering with Mayor Greg Goodnight as our guide. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
I can change the world with my own 2 hands, make it a better place. With my own 2 hands, I'm gonna make it a brighter place. With my own 2 hands, I'm gonna help the human race. With my own 2 hands, I can hold you. In my own 2 hands, and I can comfort you. With my own 2 hands, with my own 2 hands.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. For news headlines, we're going to toss to Lindsay Wright. She's in for Barbara Brosier and has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. The deadline to register to vote in November in the November election is Tuesday. Numbers from the Secretary of the State's office released last week show more than 200,000 people are registered to vote in this election than during the 2008 race between President Barack Obama and U.S. Senator John McCain. 4.5 million Hoosiers were registered to vote then, compared to more than 4.7 million now. The head of Exodus Refugee Immigration says Syrian refugees in Indiana are relieved and feeling more positive after a federal court blocked Governor Mike Pence's efforts to keep them out of the state. Governor Pence sought to cut off federal funding to organizations like Exodus Refugee Immigration that resettle refugees in Indiana. He cited security concerns about Syrian refugees.
They're just young families who have had to flee for their lives and are seeking the same safety, the same protections, and the same futures for their children that any of us do here in Indiana.
The state could appeal the court's ruling. Well, one of the biggest points of difference between Indiana's gubernatorial candidates is their stance on LGBT rights. During the second gubernatorial debate, Republican Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb and Democrat John Gregg spoke about how the controversial religious freedom law hurt the state's ability to attract talent. Holcomb says he doesn't think the controversy had a lasting effect.
We've had a record tourism year in 2015 after we got through this.
You know, the truth is this issue has hurt us economically. We need to show respect to all Hoosiers. It's more than economic, it's about respect.
Gregg says as governor, he'd take several steps to address LGBT rights, including an executive order protecting state employees. Lieutenant Governor Holcomb's campaign says it has raised nearly $7.7 million since he became the Republican candidate for governor in July. Holcomb has had major help with $3.3 million from the Republican Governors Association and $1.25 million from Pence's state campaign. The investigation into possible cases of voter registration fraud now includes 56 counties. The Indiana Voter Registration Project is at the center of the investigation, and the issue is whether fraudulent names or addresses were used in registering voters. Investigators are still determining if the Indiana Voter Registration Project did this intentionally after taking voters' information for registration. The head of the United Auto Workers is urging union members to vote for Democratic Senate candidate Evan Bayh. In Kokomo this week, the UAW International president said Bayh's pro-labor history sets him apart. Bayh passed collective bargaining as Indiana governor in the 1980s. Most unions, including the UAW, have also endorsed Democrat Hillary Clinton for president. A panel of state lawmakers is backing a pre-K expansion. The Study Committee on Fiscal Policy announced its support this week of more publicly funded early childhood education programming, but didn't provide details on how broad the expansion should be. Both the GOP and Democratic candidates for governor say they support a pre-K expansion. Indiana currently provides $10 million each year for its pre-K pilot program. The Department of Education will release 2016 ISTEP data in the coming weeks before calculating A through F grades for schools. The Department of Education is putting together the scores to show data at the school, district, and state level. Ritz says changes to the test and who scores it caused the delay.
So all the processes are still the same, but they get expanded because of other processes that are in quality checks that are put in place because of new tests and new vendors.
Schools and parents received individual student ISTEP scores in August, but they were embargoed. Subcontractors working on the section of I-69 between Bloomington and Martinsville have now been paid in full. The Indiana Finance Authority says I-69 development partners accessed a line of credit from contractor Islex Corson to pay subcontractors. A letter from the agency last month said a collective $9 million was owed to subcontractors. Section 5 of I-69 won't be finished until October 2017, more than a year behind schedule. A petition to bring involuntary treatment to those living with opioid addiction is finding support in Indiana. The legislation went into effect over 10 years ago in Kentucky. Under Casey's law, family members can petition a court to provide the treatment. The law is named after Casey Wethington, who died at 23 years old after choosing not to go into treatment.
He knew that he was a strong-willed person. But addiction has nothing to do with how strong your will is. It's not about willpower. It's not about lack of moral character. It's not about any of those things. It's about the brain, because it is a brain disease.
The petition will be sent to state and federal legislators, including Senator Coates and Donnelly and Governor Mike Pence. 8 Indiana counties now have the state's blessing to start a needle exchange. The State Department of Health declared a public health emergency this week in Allen County, allowing officials to create an exchange program. Among other things, the exchanges provide clean syringes to intravenous drug users to prevent needle sharing. Columbus residents may now raise as many as 4 chickens in their backyard. The new restrictions come after city council members voted on a proposed amendment to the city's animal ordinance.
We already have chickens, in Columbus, and so we're not going to allow something that's not there today. What we're talking about is trying to find a way to regulate something that is already there today.
The final amendment passed 6-1. IU fans may still feel happy about a field goal in overtime that gave them a win over Michigan State, but this weekend brings a bigger challenge for the Hoosiers, number 2 Ohio State.
They got a young team that's buying in, and Coach Meyer has a great staff. He does a great job, and he's got a great team atmosphere going right now. It's a young team that's very, very talented, but playing very, very well as a team. Very, very well.
Last year, the game between IU and Ohio State went down to the wire. IU lost by just 1 touchdown. IU has never won against a number 1 or 2 ranked team, and Joe will find out tomorrow how the teams match up. Kickoff is at 3:30 p.m. in Columbus.
All right, thank you very much, Lindsay. 5 weeks after the EF3 tornado with 165-mile-per-hour winds touched down in Kokomo, residents and city officials are still in the long process of cleaning up and rebuilding. I recently toured the hardest-hit areas with Kokomo Mayor Greg Goodnight.
Now it's kind of go slow here. These are the apartments, and this is the country club. You're going to see where the path went. And see, they had to put all these new poles up within a couple days. These are the apartments that were impacted.
Well, obviously a lot of damage here. Where are we right now?
We're on the west side of Kokomo. These are Park Place apartments. The 249 apartment units, we had to condemn them temporarily while they're being rebuilt. So right now no one's living here, so they were almost 100% occupied. So we still have people that are in a temporary housing situation.
How many people are displaced right now in Kokomo?
Well, we have no one we went past the emergency shelter phase, and there are still people that are living with their in-laws or a brother or some of that. And I don't have an exact number at this point. And then, take a left here. We'll cut through there, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because the park's down there that we're gonna see, but we'll take the other route, cut through there. But this was this was a wall of trees, and now that's where we're gonna head down into the devastated area down there.
So here we are at Highland Park, and it's not just homes, but trees and playground equipment. There's a lot of damage.
A lot of damage. This is the south side of Highland Park. Highland Park is the second largest park in our park system. And I equate it to the closest thing we have to a state forest. I think last number we lost about 70 trees that were over 100 years old.
And that's not
this
something
area.
You can replace in a day.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not. The playground equipment we will figure that out, but we're working on a reforestation plan. Obviously, we've already begun to order trees. Some of the playground equipment, a lot of it was older playground equipment. We'll get some insurance money for that. We won't get any for the tree replacement.
So when something like this happens, obviously you're going through a lot here, but it must be somewhat nice to have all of this help and support coming from outside of the city as well.
We've just had an outpouring. Probably 20 to 25 different cities sent some manpower, equipment, at least for one day. Some stayed multiple days, so I can't thank them enough. We just had an announcement, a local credit union that's helping us with our Rebuild Highland Park plan to rebuild the playground area and start the reforestation of Highland Park. and we hope to have a few other corporate sponsors come in to help us start that process. We've had sporting teams, high school sporting teams from around here that have just stepped up. There are hundreds of good stories to come from a terrible situation.
Goodnight says the funds raised for the Rebuild Highland Park plan will be used not only to plant new trees, but replace the ADA compliant playground that was damaged. The only known hay press to be operational and on public display is in Indiana's O'Bannon Woods State Park. It pressed its last bale of hay for 2016 this past weekend. The machine was built in 1850 and it's more than 150 years old. It uses an ox and a pulley system to pack hay into a bale. Before the invention of the hay press in the 1800s, farmers had to spend hours to make a single bale of hay. The hay press will be dormant for the winter, but you can see it in action again next summer. Park naturalists also use the oxen to work a sorghum press. And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers, now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. SIphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.